part 2, we're going to work through the 3 best rotation exercises and show you what my golf fitness handicap actually is.
How's this feel compared to the right?
A lot harder.
Yeah. Nice. On like this as far as you can go, stretching this panel here, and then you're going to come all the way back to the middle. You're going to rotate the rib cage and the elbow as one, and look, and you're in your head, you're trying to lift. And his recent screen that we did in November, he scored +7. He's the only golfer I've trained so far that's completed the whole thing. So we've got 3 exercises. These are all quite basic and quite simple. What I'm going to do is, these involve coming down to the floor. Okay. So we're going to do a couple of different positions. One's probably a bit more tricky in terms of getting down. So if we've got senior golfers, they might want to take the easier route with this. So the first one that we'll do is just coming down onto the floor, onto hands and knees, and all we're going to do is start to try and rotate the rib cage left and then right as well. So your positions are quite simple. So we come hands and knees here, nice straight back. If I put my hand on my temple, all I'm going to do is try and rotate like this up to the ceiling as far as I can, keeping the rest of my body still. So I'll turn like this and then back to the start. How quick should people do that? Because I've seen a few people ask questions about these stretches ones. How quick? How many? Yeah, what's the pace? Yeah. So I think with a lot of the mobility drills is just like a smooth pace. You know, it's not strength work or speed work at this point in time. So you're looking for quality of motion. So every time you make a movement, you're trying to expand on what you can do. So it's just pushing yourself a little bit further than what you can currently do without it being painful. Okay. It's a bit painful. She says. So knees just hip. That's it, knees just under hips, hands just in front of shoulders, hand on temple. So now you've got this angle from the elbow and the forearm. And if I just say this right arm stays really strong to the floor, and you're going to rotate the rib cage and the elbow as one, and look, and you're in your head, you're trying to lift this a little bit further. Yeah, I am. Without shifting the hips too much. That honestly feels so tight. Yeah, it really highlights here where, if I just get you to hold here, Alex, for a second, this side of the rib cage here where it gets quite tight through most people. I'm feeling it tight through like the middle of the back. The lower back where it's kind of clinging on a little bit for dear life. Yeah. All this video is doing is highlighting how bad I am at flexibility in golf. Well, just think maybe by the summer, you might be able to move. That's it, so just a nice smooth turn, and I say rep-wise with this 10 to 15 is normally pretty good. Yeah, it's good, and we want to do both sides as well. So this is where you can feel the difference. So you're so much better. Right-handed golfer, it's a much bigger turn, and we said this again, didn't we, on a couple of previous videos, that as golfers, when we practice, typically we take so many more backswings than we do downswings, and therefore just by sort of user error in a sense, that the movement tends to be better because of the fact that you're doing it more often. That's mad. It feels literally occupational hazard in a way. Literally, that's crazy. Okay, exercise number 1, what is number 2? Okay, so number 2 is a similar movement, but this involves sitting onto the heels, which for some people can be quite uncomfortable. So if you can't get into this position, number 1 is the drill that you want to do. Okay. So for this one, I'm going to come back down to knees again. If I just lay my feet flat and I'm going to sit down, this time I'm going to put my forearm down onto the floor here. You can create a fist if you want to, and my hand goes in my lower back. So I want to start with like a square shoulder line, so I'm not already open or closed. Okay. And then from here, all I'm going to do is the same movement, pulling my shoulder blade back, looking over my shoulder this way, turning as far as I can, keeping this down. Right down. Whoa. Okay, so I'm going down onto my knees. Yep. This one looks incredibly hard. So you're going to sit onto your heels as you did, one forearm down onto the floor. Put your hand into your lower back with the right hand. So now if we start you square, which is roughly about here, you're going to rotate as far as you can through the rib cage, look over the shoulder, and the aim of the game is to just pull this back slightly, so that gives you a little bit more rotation. Wow. And this one you can really feel there's some resistance to it.
Yeah.
So what we've done here is really kind of isolate the movement of the rib cage. Because you're in the position you are with the hips and the lower body, you've got no chance of using them in this movement. You have to turn as much as you can from the rib cage.
I want to feel like I keep my bum on the heels, yeah?
Yeah, as best you can. To be honest, like for some people, they're going to have mobility issues. Getting into that position is not going to be very easy. So if you do have to come off a little bit, it's not the end of the world.
Even if you're a little bit like that?
Yeah, even if you're a little bit into that position, it's really not the end of the world.
And again, you repeat this.
Both sides, about 10 to 15 reps for both of these is a good place to start.
If I'm so biased, like my backswing feels 10 times better than my downswing, should I concentrate more on downswing potentially? Or would that...
Yeah, I mean, again, it depends on the individual. If you come across someone and there's a real obvious difference between left and right, I mean, yours is an obvious difference, but it's not to the point of one extreme to the other, then we might say maybe 10 on the left and double it up on the right, 20 on the right, or vice versa.
Just to sort of come back.
Just to try and give you some sort of structural balance. But with the most of the exercises that we do, we want to always train both sides. There's very few that we would do where we would only do, for example, a downswing action or a backswing action.
Final one. Those two were really hard.
So final one, this is a really good exercise, and this we want to do a little bit slower and just take our time a little bit more. It's a little bit more technical. So for this one, we're going to come down to one knee and we're going to come hands on the temples here. So we've done a variation of this a few weeks ago where we just rotated, but what we're going to do now is add a side bend into the motion as well.
Okay.
So the key thing for this, I think, for everyone to remember when they're watching is to really take your time, because as we start to side bend, particularly through the spine, there's a lot of nerves and a lot of vertebrae down there that we don't want to trap very quickly and hurt ourselves. So if I start down on one knee, I've got my 90 angles out of both legs, everything facing forwards, hands on the temple. I'm going to turn like this as far as I can go, taking my head with me. Now if I keep my elbows back and pin them here, what I'm going to do is actually breathe in, lift my rib cage up to the ceiling and hold my breath. I know it sounds silly, you'll have to trust me. So from here we go, hold the breath here, and then really slowly you're going to bend down like this as far as you can go, stretching this panel here, and then you're going to come all the way back to the middle, breathe out, but stay in the turn. So I'm not returning to the start, I'm going to stay where I was here, and then I'm going to turn again. So I'll turn again like this, breathe in, slowly all the way down, so I'm getting this stretch down the side of my ribs. I'm going to breathe out on my way up like that, and I'm going to turn again. And what should happen is I start to get a little bit further each time, and you start to look like an owl turning its head around. So I think for for most people, if you can start to get 3 to 5 turns, that's really good. And what you'll find with this is it looks ridiculous. You think there's no way I can get around there. So we're going to breathe in, you lift your rib cage, we slowly stretch down here, so you're going to hold that, you can feel this. You're going to breathe out on your way up, pause at the top here, and then you can turn again. Same thing, breathe in, so we're going to lift the rib cage up towards the chin, and then we're slowly going to tilt down, we're getting that stretch, and then on your way to the middle, Alex, you breathe out, and then you turn again. So you can start to go a lot more than you realise. So what we're doing with this exercise is as we start to rotate and we start to side bend, we start to move the ribs around a little bit, and the intercostals and the obliques and all these muscles that can be quite restrictive in terms of rotation for most people. So again, this is just one you want to really take your time with, really focus on the technique. And again, if you've probably had history of any lower back pain or any disc issues, this is probably one to avoid for the time being. Nice. So you can feel now you're already the whole way around pretty much. If I asked you to do that in one turn, you'd never have got there.
Never.
So the dropping down into a side bend just allows you to create more rotation.
And would you do the same on the through swing as well?
Yeah, both sides for this one, 100%.
Okay.
So this is your trickier side, so here we can sort of see the difference between the two. So it's a big turn. You're going to breathe in and hold the breath, lift the rib cage, very slowly side bend with the elbow down. On your way up, you're going to breathe out. Nice, and then we turn again. And it's maximising that movement, get the air in the lungs, push the ribs up, start to move them around. How's this feel compared to the right?
A lot harder.
Yeah. Nice. So you want to try and get about, this is our 4th turn, so 4 or 5 turns each side is a really good number to aim for. Good
Surprised
work.
how much.
Now if I just asked you to do one turn to your left, down on one knee as you were.
Should I do it now?
Yeah, do it now and feel the difference.
Both ways?
Yeah, let's do both ways. So turn to your left first. So that's right the way round compared to the first one. Now if you change the legs around and turn to your right, what you'll find is you'll turn way further than before you did the exercise.
Complete it.
Game over, there we go. Done.
Okay, I think it's now time that we put my information into the app. So the information does not lie. Now, give me the bad news.
The bad news is you scored 26.
26 handicap. Now bear in mind that obviously I turn pro and I play in a comp, I've got to play to scratch or better. My golfing fitness handicap is 26. What's the highest and what's the best? What's the lowest you've ever seen?
So 36 is the highest. That's if we didn't pass any of the tests.
Right, okay.
So same as a golf handicap, 36 typically tends to be a higher handicap. The best handicap you can get is +7. So that's a green on every test or a pass on every test, which is very, very difficult to do.
Very short of doing that. Okay, because you were telling me about an example. Is it Max?
Yeah, so one of my clients, Max, I've worked with him for a few years now. One of our original screens we did 2 years ago, he scored 18, which is actually pretty good in terms of golf fitness handicap. And his recent screen that we did in November, he scored +7. He's the only golfer I've trained so far that's completed the whole thing. So it just shows that with a bit of hard work, doing the right stuff, you can make massive improvements.
I think people got to understand it's going to take time as well to see these things come through.
100%. I mean, that was a 2-year journey from 18 to +7.
Yeah.
And this is from a guy who's a good golfer, he's dedicated. But, you know, he's not spent 7 days a week in the gym. He's spent the right amount of time per day doing the right stuff in the same way that everyone at home can do a few exercises as well.
Well, 26 is our starting point. Got to get to +7.
Long way to go, right?
Okay, so if you did enjoy this video, well, thanks so much for watching. And if you want to get your golf fitness handicap or more information from Nat, her link is down below in the description. Head over to her website and you can get some real information that's tailored to your game. Thanks for watching and see you next Tuesday with some more fitness for your golf.